I've got another new friend. This is Ziggy. And Ziggy is just, you don't want to be tickled there, do you, Ziggy? Because I'm probably sitting in your place. But Vino Tinto Day, and it's a Sunday. And yes, I'm doing another Marc and Chums, and I am very pleased to be invited into a chum who I've known quite a few years. For one period, I was his agent when he did more acting. I think I cast him in a few things when I was a casting director, but that's an awful long time to go. He comes from a theatrical family of quite well-known people, but we're not going to talk about them. They may come up in conversation, but we've come to talk to Casper Jones.
Hi Mark, how are you?
Very well, thanks for inviting us in here. We sort of came across each other when I was an agent, didn't we?
You
about 20 odd years ago. Plus.
Yeah, you sort of took me up after seeing me in the show in the Red Rooster coffee shop.
Yeah, and I said, right, come and see me. I wasn't as demonstrative as that. No. I said, why don't you come for a drink? Because as you can see, we like a beverage all night, don't we, Casper?
Some may say so.
Well, I'm saying so because I do. And I was kind of serious. So we came there, we had a nice drink in the Barley Brasserie Bar.
Yes, yes.
And put the world to rights.
Yes.
Didn't we?
Yes, we did.
And I knew nothing about Casper at all. You know, I just knew his name was Casper Jones, and we were to cross paths quite often because you worked with my husband.
That's right, of course.
In what you can talk about that in a minute.
We'll talk about it in a minimal amount, though.
In a minimal amount, because that's a bit. Well, working with my husband probably not as bad as it sounds, but only working for the people that you were working for is absolutely awful. As he actually had to leave too. So we met then, and then I just said, "Well, look, I'm really interested, not knowing anything about you, wasn't it?"
No, that's right. And so you saw me in that show, and then you came along, and then you very kindly took me on as an actor for your company, your agency. And I ended up, the first job that you put me up for I actually got, which was a bit weird now, but was ending up on Rolf and Art.
Oh yeah.
And I had to be a model in a Gainsborough, not a model in that sense. A model in
not the Ark Royal, we mean.
But a model in the Gainsborough painting.
All right.
That Rolf replicated in that massive house in.
Yeah, I remember. But the fact is, you can imagine how many people I was casting, and I don't. Yeah. I'll be honest with you. I don't just cast people because they were on my books. I cast them because they were right for the part.
Yeah.
Where a lot of people, you know, I had one or two clients at Cyber who, oh well, you should have cast, and I said no. I have a good reputation as an agent, but I have to keep my reputation as a casting director.
Yeah.
Because as a casting director,
yeah.
If I happen to choose the wrong person just because you're on my books and it's wrong, then that is my reputation line.
Yeah, exactly.
Really couldn't give a fuck about your reputation,
right?
But if you, I mean, I remember you saying that, doing that now because you were just right. And I remember the client saying, "God, he was good at that. It was absolutely marvellous."
Yeah.
I said because that's the look you portrayed for what was in their mind's eye.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I know you don't like football, but the actual girl that was playing my wife in the painting was a famous footballer's daughter. So that was very interesting.
So you had a bit to chat about there rather than, you know, being... Do you remember what pose you were doing?
We had a couple of dogs and I was holding a shotgun as well. So I've tried to... I can't remember what the piece is called.
And it was emulating one that had already been... So you were just playing the model?
Yeah, so they showed the original picture and then... in the setting, and then he painted it with us as the models.
Well, obviously, as the casting director of that particular one, was the fact that I actually chose you because you looked like the original painting. so I actually,
I look like a sort
that
of,
was just easy. That one.
I look like a sort of 17th century gentleman on the estate.
Yeah, well, and that's a squire, I think they were called back.
Yes,
in those days.
Well, that's a nice title to have.
Yes,
I'd like to be known as
I remember back in the 60s, we used to, when I was at boarding school, it was a master Marc Sinclair which is my original.
So what school did you go to?
Kent College, Canterbury, Vernon Home and Kent College.
Kent College.
We went up with that when I was.
Is it a private school?
No, yeah, public school.
So we're going off
Yeah, just a bit.
Yeah.
But the fact is, they would always then, as you got to a certain age, you became a squire.
Well, with my schools, I went to public school as well, and obviously the name Jones is quite a common name. So I started off as Jones 4, and then Jones 3, and then as they left.
As they left, and how long did you have to wait until you became Jones 1?
I think it was about 4 or 5 years.
Ah, right.
Yeah, so
what public school did you go to?
I went to Cokethorpe, which is in Oxfordshire.
Oh, fabulous. Did you have a good time?
I met 2 very, very good friends there who they're very important in my life. But the teaching was pretty much awful. Apart from our headmaster, who was a very good teacher of classical studies, Greek history.
So, and did that give you the thought of going to drama school to that, rather than just the people inherent in your family that are many years? I mean, we might talk about what the elephant in the room, so to speak. Yeah.
But when I had to go and have a bath on a Sunday evening before school started, I'd been in the bathroom, and the bathroom had a couple of steps up to a large window, and I always used to go up there and then turn around and then pretend I was presenting a show. So I'd run down these couple of steps.
It's in the blood.
So yes, it is.
It's in the blood. Whatever anyone says, in the blood.
Yeah. So but no, I just really enjoyed it, and I ended up going to college in Stratford-upon-Avon to do performing arts as a BTEC.
And what a place to do that as well.
I mean, I loved that. There was 2 years there, and it was really, really. I really enjoyed being there and being in that sort of environment of Shakespeare.
And who was in your peer group when you were there?
Nobody of any note, but
but see, that's a good thing though, in my eyes. What that means is, in majority, if they've stepped to the profession, they become jobbing actors. I
don't know if any of them did, because I do still know a couple of them who were in my year, but they don't do it. They don't do anything like that. But so back then it was more of let's do a performing arts course rather than that.
And then be a bit sort of Richard of the Shadows. Let's put on a show.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, definitely.
And that's what we used to do at school as well.
Yeah.
But I was never bitten by the bug about it. I just happened to fall into it because my father knew Patrick McGowan. That's how I ended up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, remember from the Prison and Danger.
Yeah, of course.
And that's just how that happened. I ended up in Oliver.
Okay.
But what were you? And I said there's about 400 of us, so you try and point me up there because it's one of those things.
Yes.
It's just lovely. But
yeah,
if you had, obviously in my eyes, hearing what you're saying now, you had a passion for literature, art, all that sort of area.
Yes, I mean, because I read from an early age a lot, so and I was my brothers who were older than me used to give me lots of books that were really good that I'd read. So
isn't that a lovely thing for brothers, siblings, to actually hand down good literature to somebody that's a younger one?
Yeah.
Because these days, as we well know,
well, that's another 2 hours.
I mean, I'm so glad to see here you've got books. And when I used to play Father Christopher, said they wanted an iPad. I said, what do you want an iPad for? Or they would say, I want an Xbox. Or what do you want an egg box for? So we were completely putting them in that situation. Some people, when they came in and said they wanted a book, I was thrilled. And I actually got quite tearful because the smell of the paper...
So did they often ask you for an iPad or something like that when you were...
phones also. I've been doing Father Christmas. I've retired this year.
Really?
That's why can you see, guys? We've got stubble. You see that? He's got stubble.
That's because my wife likes a beard, to be honest. So you've got 2. Yeah.
I think she's not in.
No.
Just say, please don't be here when I'm being filmed. Is that?
So so I've kept all the really important books that a lot of drama books and plays and stuff, which are on that sort of side. Books about cats, obviously. I mixed up with some of a lot of my wife's books that she brought along when she moved in. So yeah. So where were we?
Well, but that's it. Sort of that the books, lead on to you having that literature and that background, and going to Stratford, which is as high of theatrical history and all that.
And also you had the Dirty Duck, which you must know, which is opposite the RSC, which is where the actors used to go after they performed at the.
And we must go down the Dirty Duck, darling. Yes,
absolutely.
Yeah,
absolutely.
And why not?
Yeah.
The only problem that I find, I don't know about you, because I know that, I'm determined to get you back into acting, Casper. No two ways about that.
Well,
he's going to be in one of my films, one of my films, actually, one of Stephen's films. But the fact is, when you get, unfortunately these days, when you get too many egos acting-wise who've got the super ego about it, the celebrity thing that they all seem to think are going on about being professional, it does actually become quite tedious because they're really only talking about themselves. Although I know we're doing that here, but when it's en masse, and certainly in a Dirty Duck, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Although I suppose back in those days it was a bit more esoteric and they were a bit more interested in procedure and the passion and all that rather than...
Now everything's much faster. Well, everything seems to be much faster, so they're trying to get from A to B very quick, A to Z very quickly, so it's harder. Talking, because when I moved down to Brighton in 2000...
That's when I met you?
Yeah, I was sort of finding my feet and everything, and then sort of like trying to find out the sort of theatre stuff, and then, there was a lot of companies and a lot of this and that going on, so eventually because I've been talking about it for many years, in the end I formed my own theatre company because I just thought a lot of these companies, they're already in place and they have their people and they're loath to try and get other people
sometimes to the detriment of their own productions. Because I've got some. I used to have people come into me from another agency in Brighton, and they're nameless, and say, "Oh, they've already got one that looks like me." And I said, "That's not a problem with me. What do you mean looks like you? It depends on what your talent is.
Yeah,
we can all you could line up 5 Sean Connerys, and they could all be beautiful and all that. But does it mean to say any of those got the talent of the original one?"
But also, it's giving opportunities to more people, so you have a bigger pool of and people to work with.
The other thing I don't know if you notice, audiences get a little bored of seeing the same faces.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I remember when I took over doing as an emergency for somebody Father Christmas in Tunbridge Wells because they wanted the real beard shit, because the Royal Tunbridge Wells, and they have to be all proper.
Yeah.
And I was getting messages back from my elves saying, "Oh, the lady said, it's not the real one," thinking of the one they had before. And I'm going, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
Yeah.
I said, "There's thousands." I mean, I won Father Christmas of the Year one year when they had the competition. I didn't know there was one. And the fact is, but I said, there's literally worldwide thousands of us.
Yeah.
And we all have different manners and ways of doing it.
Yes.
It's like you going to play Hamlet, for instance. That would be slightly different.
Of course.
To say your brother playing Hamlet.
Of course.
Or me playing. I mean, I couldn't play Hamlet.
No.
Can't remember the lines, Casper.
No.
How's your retention on lines anyway? I know you said you haven't done it for a little while, but
it's very it's a very interesting process, the whole thing about learning lines, isn't it? Because if you're constantly thinking about the lines, then you're not obviously, to sound wanky, you're not really in the moment, are you? So and that could be the challenge. The process of learning lines is everybody has their own way, and I just do layer upon layers. It would be a line, then that line plus another one, and then go and do that, and then try and get somebody. That's very similar to me. And then try and get somebody to go.
But do it because the films I've made with our lovely friend here.
Oh yeah.
He has written a lot of it. I don't profess, honestly. He knows this, so I'm not talking out of turn. It's no surprise to him. sometimes having the foggiest idea what's going on.
Right.
Because Stephen does like more fanciful,
Yeah.
arty-farty, occasional titties out, not mine, you'd be glad to
No.
know. One or two of the ladies, they just have their titties, don't they?
Occasionally.
It's the dirty old sod, isn't it? Yeah. And which is no problem for me being a gay man. I just talk about the weather.
Yeah.
But then, if you get the gist in these productions,
Yeah.
where I think William Hartnell once said, he played the first Doctor Who, was saying to the script writers and editors and the producers, like Verity Lambert back at the old BBC days at Limegrove, would say, smaller, cut it down, too much. Fact was, he couldn't learn. It was just getting too much. And that was a show that was on 50
How old was he when he started on that?
He was only young. He was 54.
Oh, okay.
55, but he died quite early. He always played parts older than himself.
Yeah.
If you go back, he was in Brighton Rock.
Was he?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
You put talking pictures on. You get films of people like your dad and all that,
Yeah, well,
appearing on there. And it's like,
Yeah, you comment a lot about talking films that are on
I love it.
pictures.
I mean, you got it here.
Is it on Freeview? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
BTTV. I'll have to have a look. I'm sure it must be. Sure.
Well, I noticed you've got a computer. There's a wonderful thing. It's a resource. Like you just put it and see if they've got
Oh, really?
Yeah, did you know that?
I think you could do it on phones as well.
Have you got a phone? Oh, you've got a phone as well.
I
That's
haven't.
you can. No, honestly, try it if you can. I'm sure it's on Freeview. Have you got it?
No, it's on BTTV. I've got.
It's on Freeview, yes. Channel 82.
Okay.
So-
I'll find it. I'll find
Yeah,
it. I'll find
try it
Okay.
because there's films that would not normally see the light of day. Going back, we're going back to. They've even put films like The Golem on, the Nosferatu, silent
Oh, yeah.
films. Really old ropey copies of this and that. Bits that they've got another thing on there called The Footage Detectives. It's fabulous.
Okay.
It's showing Brighton when back in the day.
Oh,
All
yeah,
sorts
yeah.
of places, but showing old movies of long gone. One of my dear friends who passed away this year, Renee Gwynn, who was the third most credited woman in the world for film and television, died this year. And all her
What,
roles...
in what? As an actress?
No, she was a script supervisor.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she was even the script supervisor on Brief Encounter.
Oh, wow.
That's how far.
Wow. God, that's going
I
back.
said, God, you must have been bleeding young then. But you can go through, a lot of people, actors of a certain age who are not here anymore and all that, one or two of their films might have just disappeared. But they might like to, if they've passed away, they're not going to say, they're probably going to see them in their own television heaven and hell, but they might be in a situation where somebody's still alive and said, I remember making that picture.
Yeah.
But they haven't. Fraser Hines is one. He's
Yeah.
got so many children's film foundation
Yeah.
stuff on there.
Yeah.
He goes back a long way. But how many films have you made?
Not that many, to be honest.
Soon change that.
No, but just sort of going back a bit, with regards to lines and the theatre companies in Brighton and all that stuff, in the end it got to the point where I'd been talking about it and I ended up creating a theatre company and
Well, that's the best way to do it.
and I put on a show and I was producing it and I was in it and there were large chunks of dialogue. And
Is that the one I
had
came to see?
Huh?
Do you remember I came to see you in a play?
It was upstairs.
I came to see you in that one.
Yeah.
With my husband came
It was
to
a
see
Vaclav Havel play.
Yeah, I came to see it. Do you remember?
Yes, I do.
And I was just slightly late. My husband was over there. You were running up and down because it was in the centre. It was like a bit.
Well,
in the
yeah,
back.
we were like, it was in a round and
Yeah.
we were like the...
And I had to sit by the door.
That's
and
right.
I'm going, all that. Couldn't say anything because he was in midway.
No,
long
because you
speech.
had to start off in character when the audience were coming in, so it was...
You see, that's the bit I missed.
All right.
Because I was waiting for a taxi and I promised Casper I would go.
Yeah, you
because
did.
It was,
Yeah.
my husband said, Casper's doing a play. I said, well, about bloody time too, because I've not seen him and I hadn't
No.
seen him in a long time.
No.
And that's how it sort of resurrected our friendship.
Yes.
And I just said to him, right, well, when's it on then? He said, well, I'm going. I said, yeah. And because, my husband and I don't live together. He's got his own place and I've
Yes.
got mine because
Yeah.
he's allergic to dog hair. What does he do?
Oh,
Buys me a dog. Enough said. But he said,
Oh,
you
is that
come
really?
home.
Oh, right.
And
Okay.
I couldn't get a fucking taxi, could I? And so I got there, and luckily the door was there, and you were in mid-flow. You were across that, in the round, you were having an argument with somebody. And luckily the lady was sitting next to me, said, just so you know, what's been going on so far? I said, I'm so terribly late. I was only about 15 minutes late.
I'd had, before we started it, and we were like finishing off, getting it ready and everything, I was sitting lying in my bath and going, I don't know if I can do this. It was a very terrifying experience because I was effectively producing it and being in it, and
well, you did you took a lot on, didn't you?
Yeah,
that's the thing.
But I mean, of course, when it was over, it's just like great. And I didn't ask.
Did you have that nice warm tummy feeling?
I don't know what I had.
Or did you go down and get pissed?
I think I did last night. But we didn't invite anybody to review it, and but somebody did get in, and they gave us a really nice review. So.
From if we can just quickly gloss over that small bit, how I got reintroduced to the lovely Casper was when you worked with my husband.
Yes, yeah. Okay, we'll have a okay.
Literally, this is going to be 30
Yeah,
seconds.
because we don't want to give that place. So we worked in
an insurance company.
Well, yes. So I came out to Brighton and I needed to, work. So I ended up in this place and somehow managed to end up being there for 14 years. And in the end...
He was there 14 years?
Yeah, so in the end, it got to the point where I thought either I leave or I kill a lot of people. So I thought the best thing for me to do was to leave. So I did leave.
Yeah. One good thing is you met my husband.
I did, and he's very good friends with a very good friend of mine called Sarah. So.
Well, he's just come back from New York.
Oh yes.
Because he was educated over there. We got family over there as well, and all he sent me is photographs of the meeting. And I know you've been to the States. The plates are like dustbin lids.
No, I haven't been to the States.
Oh, haven't you? Well,
no.
The plates are like dustbin lids.
Yeah,
and I said, he texted me this morning. He said, I bought you something. And I just made a joke of it, like the last time he went away. And I said, well, where's my bottle of vodka? Oh, it's still on the shelf in Sainsbury's. I went, oh, right, so you didn't... He's a lovely... I adore him, and it's so nice that in the small world that we live in, this little microcosm, you can actually not see... So I hadn't seen you for many years.
Yeah.
And until you did the play.
That's right, yes.
But we seem to have lost, I don't know why we lost contact, but it just happened. I think I gave up the agency or something like that.
That's right.
And I moved on. But
then, you don't see a lot of people for a long time, but you can still tap in with them and then you can pick up where you left off.
Well, it's like, we haven't spoken for, a long, long time. We've had a couple of video calls, which is quite fun, really. The last video call I had, there was chocker in here, wasn't it? Was it here? I can't remember where it was. I think it might have been.
I was sat in that sofa.
And we were sitting there. We were chatting away. Everyone was going backwards and forwards.
Yeah. Busy household.
Yeah. There's nothing wrong with that.
No.
But it's clear today.
It is clear today.
It is Casper, the cats, and me and Stephen, who's got a coffee now. Very pleased.
He's much happier now that he's got a coffee.
We did a Mars bar on already.
Okay.
Have you noticed how small Mars bars have got? Ridiculous. How big was it?
I think wagon wheels were the biggest shock because they used to be massive, but when you were a little boy.
And do you remember Curly Whirlies?
Curly Whirlies, yes.
Used to be like that, and now they're this little...
Yeah.
Well, I can't eat them because I'm diabetic.
Okay. How long have you had that for?
Nearly 40 years. But I've never had a funny turn. I have funny turns.
You can get rid of that, can't you? Though?
Well, I'm sort of on the cusp of all sorts of... But old age has come in, hence, I'm dentally challenged. And that is... and they thought I had a bit of cancer of the jaw.
Oh, God.
And it was... No, it's nothing to do with that. It's the bone reduction because of your diabetes and all that.
Oh, okay.
And I've had my yearly, which I hadn't done...
MOT?
Well, it's the same thing. The car's going in tomorrow. That'd be a bugger, won't it? And it wasn't. It was just a reduction caused.
Oh, that's good news.
I do have some dentures. I never wear them, do I?
No.
And most of the films I make are horrors, and I don't mean that by the genre. If you know what I mean. But no, you know, as you get older, you know, these bits seem to sort of get a bit loose. I've got sciatica and all that, and I can't walk terribly.
I got that when I was at work once. I was just quickly. I suddenly had a bout of that, and I collapsed on the floor, and everybody thought I was being over dramatic, and it was the worst.
The worst pain you've ever had.
It's awful, apart from toothache. It was awful. I haven't, touch wood, I haven't had it for a long time, luckily. But
I get the odd twinge.
right, yeah. But
And it's not, you get the pain here, well mine is there, but it's caused by the sciatic nerve here, and it can slightly put your vertebrae and your little disc out, and that's why you get that, and it squashes it, and that's why you get that dreadful pain.
I turned 50 last November, yeah. So now I'm at that, starting to get to that point that every time I feel the pain, I think, it's the end's coming.
Oh, don't.
No, I know. It's a bit over the top.
I said on many of my shows, I said I look in the mirror every morning and say, what the fuck happened to you last night?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But you then from that, let's move on. You then moved on from 14 years of what I would assume was purgatory.
I think it must have been because it's something I did in a previous life, perhaps.
But you had to cover what you were doing, so you took the option.
Yeah, but I mean, the reason I stayed there for a long time because I met a lot of really, really nice people, and that's, you know, meeting people, you know, and made a lot of good friends, and everybody who's in the same position, so you were helping each other out, and you were taking care of each other and everything. But you know, but I left there, and I ended up I was in the process of buying a house, and I had to keep it quiet that I'd left that job, because otherwise it would have made anything complicated. But it was. It kind of reminded me of when I decided I wanted to start a theatre company. I actually got around to putting the show on. It's like taking these big steps that are terrifying. They're terrifying, but when you do it, it's an amazing feeling. But it's getting to that point where you actually do it is the scary bit.
A lot of people I've noticed, certainly in our profession as actors, is you know, this sort of let's put on a show type thing. When it actually comes down to it, a lot of people want to do something like that, but haven't got the balls to actually do it. You had the balls to do something.
Yes, I did, and I was really chuffed with myself for doing it, and I'm hoping to do some more. A friend of mine has found out that his friend does some acting, and we're going to have a discussion and maybe do some two-handers or something like that, and so...
Well, if there's not to realise, don't hesitate, my dear boy, don't hesitate.
No.
But we know from our group, because that's why I wanted you to be involved, because I know people who've been out of the profession for some period of time do often. We've just made the feature film, which I wanted you to be in, but unfortunately you were away, it didn't work out, and there was a pup, wasn't there, Stephen?
It was, yes.
Yeah. Look at me laying back like lady, what do you think you are? Alfred Hitchcock, it's all more cock and hinge. And I just said to Stephen, I said, I've got the guy, because I read the script, which is a feature film script, and I went, that part is Casper Jones.
Oh, really? Oh, okay.
And I went, because we're friends on Facebook.
Yes.
And I just thought, do I dare phone him up and ask him? And I did.
Yeah.
And the immediate response was, oh yes. But it didn't work out. It doesn't because logistically it was difficult, and we were doing a 1 week block to get the thing done. And
I actually, because I do work as well, and so in terms of acting, I have to. There's a lot of logistics in getting the time out, and when I commit to it, I commit properly, and it's a very focused.
Yeah, if I remember rightly, I did actually not give you much notice. It was lovely to be in that situation where you said, "Oh yes," but you didn't have to think about it.
Yeah, but the thing is the logistics afterwards, because you can't say yes to something and then go, well, I could do 7 till 8 on that day, and it's like that doesn't fit in with what the person who's producing or directing will think. That's not their problem. So if I can't commit to it 100%, then I'll say no, and I'll say I just can't do it. But
and that is the way to do it,
Yeah.
because people, I've been in many films, as you
yeah,
you know,
yeah,
and sometimes I've asked many friends who are competent in the business, got no problem. Steve has often asked me to help cast some of his films.
yeah,
And when I've asked one or two people who you went, oh yes, you didn't even know what it was about, the script. Oh yeah, if we can do it, we'll do it.
Yeah.
Which is a brilliant thing to say. When Stephen sends off a script to, or the size, because sometimes you have to do the whole, if it's a cameo, you don't need to send the whole bloody script. Oh, I want to see the whole script. Trying to see it. Just get in there, hopefully learn the lines, do it, get out and go down the pub, is what I always say, because it's a job. And all that malarkey we were speaking of, and we will speak more of, is if you've the passion to do it and you want to do it, obviously it's not going to be gratuitous, it hasn't got
How do you approach your performances? Because I'm not of the Daniel Day-Lewis type, obviously,
No,
but
no,
I do like to do a little bit of method. Sound like an arsehole. But I do like to do a little bit of that in
I think a
terms.
lot of it is method. Because, I was watching that lovely thing on television, Louis Theroux, what his name is, talking to Judi Dench.
Fantastic. She's my favourite actress in the whole universe.
And I saw that.
Apart from those adverts she does. I mean, it's not like she was strapped for cash.
Well, no, that's not the. She just sits there and all.
But she's like, because I used to like, which friends of mine called Old People's Programme. I used to love not Just Good Friends.
I know the one with what's his name who died.
Jeffrey Palmer.
Jeffrey Palmer, lovely actor.
As Time Goes By.
As time goes by.
That's one of my favourite series because the dynamics between those two is just unbelievable. And you believe.
But she made her first comedy series with her husband.
Yes, of course. Yeah. Yes.
And because they said, "Oh, do you think you can do comedy?" She said, "Well, I suppose so."
Yeah, they wanted them to do something because they had all that bit in that documentary with Louis Theroux about it.
Yeah. The other one that was on the other day was There's Nothing Like a Dame. So you've got Maggie Smith, Judi Dench, Eileen Atkinson, and she's blind now, who married Peggy Ashcroft, who married Lawrence today.
Yeah.
It's on iPlayer. Watch it.
What's it called?
There's Nothing Like it. It's the four of them sitting around a table drinking wine. It's the funniest thing you've ever seen.
What's it? Just a general chat thing?
It's like an interview thing, yeah.
Oh wow, I'll have to look that up.
Yeah, I think it's on iPlayer.
Oh, okay.
Or if not, I'll find you the link.
Yeah, please
You
do.
will sit there, and honestly, you will wet yourself.
Yeah, because
they all work together at one time, all together, not
Yeah.
all together at once, but they've all done, and they go so far fucking back. And to see them in their youth.
But I'm gutted because I'm the only member of my family who hasn't met Judi Dench, and every time, because she used to do a lot of charity work for my mum, and but I just wasn't. I was in the wrong place at the wrong time, so I didn't get to meet him. So
I've not met her either. And my friend Tom's mum is her best friend.
Oh really?
And they live next door to her, and Tom runs a wonderful restaurant cafe thing. We've got to go, you'll love it. Near Hassocks.
Oh yeah.
And they live sort of Guildford way, I think.
Right.
Judy lives that way, sort of way. And I just said to Tom, I said, there's one lady I'd like to meet. I'd love to meet Maggie Smith because I think she's fucking hilarious because she's so dry.
Yeah.
I never really took to Eileen Atkinson, but on seeing
I don't really know as much as her stuff as I know the other.
Well, she created with Gene Marsh Upstairs Downstairs, the original.
Oh, okay.
and was going to play the part of Sarah in that.
Okay.
But Eileen's attitude is, oh, the theatre is the thing, you know, and all that. And then it was Pauline Collins who took over that part. It would have been a completely different programme.
Yeah.
So it's a good thing in some ways. But I never actually took to her. But seeing that show, you'll be sitting there going, oh, I'm loving this. I've seen it twice. That's why it's so good.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you come from a theatrical family.
I do actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the show's about Casper. It's not about that.
No, we can talk. We go down that road if you want to.
It's a lot of people that come from theatrical families and all that, depending on the echelon where they are on the pecking order in the eyes of the general public. That's my point. Is they all seem to forget we all come from the same gene pool. You know what I mean?
Well, my favourite thing is like, well, why don't you ask him, or why do you ask him for work? It's like, well, that's not how it works. So yeah. So my mum and dad actually met in Newcastle upon Tyne when they were both doing a repertory theatre.
Mm-hmm.
And they were both actors, and then my mum
Had children.
had children, and that kind of stuff. And she went back to it, and she's very, very, very good actress, but she lost her confidence after having such a long gap between it.
Mm.
But my dad carried on, and he was the main. You know, he was the one who worked throughout.
As a jobbing actor, that's what he was, you know. And can I mention his name?
Yeah, go on then.
It's the actor Freddie Jones.
Yes. But yeah, and then he'd be away quite a lot and everything, so he was obviously doing very well.
Well,
so.
I loved it. I mean, because he appeared in one of my favourite genres, of course, is horror. And of course, he did a lot of Hammer films.
I saw Frankenstein Must Be Destroyed many, many years ago. Yeah. And I actually cried when he carried Frankenstein into the burning building.
Played by my dad's next door neighbour, Peter Cushing.
Yeah. So I was very upset by that. It was on at Christmas one year. But I obviously got real life.
Don't they all get burnt to death at the end of that?
Well, he carries my dad's character, Dr. Whoever, carries Frankenstein into the burning building.
Because your dad plays the monster. He's not a monster.
He's not a monster, but he's had his brain sort of
changed or whatever.
But
I remember that he was also he was in a Dracula one, which is with Christopher Lee and Peter Cushing. Was it the Satanic Rites of Dracula?
That's right. Yes, I think you're right. Yeah, I've not seen it. I don't think.
Hilarious.
Yeah, over the top.
You know how Hammer started doing these rather nice gothic Technicolor, like widescreen, beautiful colour, good scripts.
Yeah.
Dun, da, da, and all that.
Yeah.
Well, they did Dracula AD 72, putting it into the modern age.
1972.
It was called Dracula 1972, yeah. Made in 1972. Then they did, the last one that Lee did was called The Satanic Rites of Dracula.
Yeah.
Although Peter went on to do The Seven Golden Vampires, and my friend Renee was the script supervisor. She said, I only did it because we went to Hong Kong. And that's hilarious. And your dad's in that, who's playing a professor of something. Probably. It's all to do with Van Helsing, Peter Cushing's part, saying to your dad's character, but this is the basiliscus doing all this sort of stuff, and it is so beautifully done. It is not funny, but the fact is, looking at how it is now, in today's what you can see on these shows. They've all got a bit over the top.
Years ago, around about 91, 92, when I went to circus school in Bristol before I went to drama school, I was in this house that somebody, my parents arranged for me to stay in, and they were away, and they had a Dracula film on, and even though I was well into my early 20s, Christopher Lee was absolutely terrifying. Take it away! Very, very, very scary.
How many times have I played Dracula in your films, or Nosferatu? Quite a few.
Okay.
But he's very terrifying. It's
very tall.
Yeah.
I've been very lucky. I've met Name dropping.
We do name dropping sessions.
All right.
All right.
I have
we can
met-
play tennis.
All right.
Name
hold
dropping
on.
tennis.
Right. Peter Cushing, obviously, because he was Dad's next door neighbour.
Yeah.
And Auntie Margaret used to go out for tea with her every Wednesday.
Okay.
Christopher Lee I met because of The Man with the Golden Gun, because my dad took me to the premiere because he was doing the programme, so we got tickets to that, so I met him there.
Oh, okay.
And the other one I met was Vincent Price.
What's he like?
What, with Coral Brown, who was, okay, in a supermarket in Hollywood, over the cost lettuce. Now, I've said this one before on the show, but I just thought it was hilarious. There you've got, in my mind's eye as a viewer, got Coral Brown, Vincent Price by the cost lettuce talking to me, and I'm just looking at her, and she says, "Oh, what's the matter, darling?" And I said, "Well, I thought, being bon viveurs and all the gourmet stuff you like and all that, you'd have somebody do it for you. You go down the supermarket," and Vincent looked at me and said, "Well, we would do that, but you never know where you're going to get."
I would have loved to have been Doctor Who, and a friend of mine who's a very big Doctor Who fan said I'd make a very good Doctor Who, which was very flattering.
Well,
You might not agree with that, but
no, anyone who plays the part does their own thing.
as a lot of people say, I'm quite eccentric, so that seems to be part of it.
Really? Of course, your brother has been in Doctor Who.
Yes, he was the Dream Lord. So my stepson Joel, he's a massive Doctor Who fan, so that was very exciting for him when he saw that and everything.
And your brother's Toby Jones.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
And behind you there, in my wedding photographs.
We went to the cinema especially to see Toby Jones.
Yeah.
In Hitchcock.
Yes.
And we also went to see him when he did
Tuba Capote.
what a stunning performance.
It's a shame that they came out at the same time, him and Philip Seymour
There was
Hoffman.
those two, wasn't there?
Yeah, they came out at the same time,
Yeah.
which is unfortunate. But
Yeah, but
he's people will watch and go like, "Oh yeah," but I just think, and I hate to admit it, but I think my brother's a very, very, very good actor. Very good.
Well,
actor.
I'm going to put my four-penny worth of his worth in a thing. He did a better job certainly on the Hitch films, but he did a wonderful job on Doctor Who. And as Truman Capote, I thought he was just stunning.
Yeah.
And then recently, your mum has appeared on television.
Yeah. Did you watch it?
It was the first of the episode of.
No, it's the last one.
Was it the last
of the
one?
second series of my grandparents'
War, wasn't
and
it?
I didn't know any of that, obviously, and
Well,
that was just fascinating
I've
to
got to
watch.
watch this because I was going to be coming to see
Yeah.
you and all that.
Well, you did a bit of research.
No, I just
Sort
happened
of.
to. I wanted. Well, we don't have to research each other.
No.
I like a bit of a hammer horror darling and all
Yeah,
that.
you are,
I
yeah.
do follow good actors.
Yes.
My
But it was a
favourite.
fantastic programme, and it was very moving.
I get all those sort of programs. Not because I know somebody's brother in it or whatever. I actually get terribly tearful and I go, oh my God.
Yeah, because my grandfather never talked about it, and he was quite a stern person as well. It's like if you didn't eat properly, well, certainly with my mum, if she didn't eat properly, she'd be wrapped on the hand and with a fork or something for not eating properly. And he was very, when it was fun, he was brilliant. But then there was a side of my grandfather that was,
Which obviously came out from
the army and everything.
Yeah.
And it's very interesting, that whole thing about them being told you can't talk about the war when you go home. Remember they were saying it in the programme about how they were told on the ships back to their home camp, don't ever talk about it. So that's why we never got to hear any of it until we saw it on the programme itself.
Well, my mother was in the Blitz, and she was then. She was born in 1928, so in the Blitz she would have been 13, 14 years of age, something like that.
Okay.
And they had to send her away, apparently.
How old was she?
in the Blitz, she was a bit, what, 12 years of age. So they decided.
So did she go to the countryside?
She went down to Padstow, my dear, didn't she? And
I don't know if that's a very good accent. I'm
I
assuming
know,
it
it's
is.
crap. It was trying to be West Country, Cornwall, and I don't know. But the only reason that my maternal grandmother decided to send her away on evacuation was Mum was quite maudlin. She loved the idea of going to see the bodies being pulled out of rubble and all that.
Oh, she liked it?
I don't think she liked it. I think she was just fascinated by it. And what she would do is, like you only heard about the war through that TV program.
Yes.
I would sit in bed with her on a Sunday when we were kids and all that, and I would say to her, tell us about the war.
And was she happy to talk about it?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. She said awful things was happening to you. You could see a hand being pulled out. They could only identify by the ring. And all that, and I'm absolutely. I mean, I love the murder channel.
That's
weird.
Fascinating though, in a weird way.
It is weird, but no. But she really went through all that, and of course, her father was an ARP warden, was killed in the crypt of a church where a bomb hit it, and because it was so badly damaged, they couldn't bring all the bodies out, so it was just concreted over. So we had our bit of war. Interest in all that, but I suppose that's what she started my attitude towards death.
I was just on that note. Me and my wife were watching the remake of All Quiet on the Western Front last night about the First World War.
Mm.
It's amazing, but it just the First World War. It's just like you can't imagine it, can you?
Mm.
I mean, the Second World War I know a lot about, but the First World War is just the numbers of people killed is just like.
Well, as we mentioned earlier about the Dames, Eileen Atkinson, who created Upstairs, Downstairs.
Yeah.
One of the 5 series there's made is just dedicated to what happened in the First World War, and it's my favourite.
Oh, Upstairs, Downstairs.
The original, not the remake.
No, but I remember that from childhood, but I didn't really watch it because it wasn't something really a child that would be particularly interested in.
It's like we were speaking of enjoying Yes Prime Minister and Yes Minister. And
Yeah.
It's one of those shows I can watch again and again and again.
Right.
Like I can watch I Claudius again and again and again. Nick and Civil Servant.
Which one? Which I Claudius?
Well,
Be careful.
There's 2 versions.
Be careful.
Of it. There was a film that never was, and the I Claudius, of course, the BBC version, which I adore, and I've got a couple of chums still alive. I used to represent a couple of them, would you believe?
Okay.
Chris McGarr played Marcellus in the BBC version, but the original version was never completed, had Charles Lawton playing Claudius.
Okay.
But the BBC version is basically a comedy soap opera.
But hang on, which is the one that my father was in?
I don't think he was in it. I think he was in Cleopatra's.
No. No, he's in I Claudius as well.
Can't remember now.
Black and white version, and then there's a Derek
No,
Jacobi
that was called. No, I know which one you mean. It's called The Caesars. He was.
I apologise. Yes, you're right.
The Caesars.
Oh dear.
I've got it on DVD.
I found it on YouTube and I started to watch it the other night.
It's really good stuff. Sort of around the same era as Forsyte Saga and all that.
Oh yeah.
But the colour version, which they made in '76, is just, it's funny, it's horrific. John Hurt's in it.
Okay.
Have you never seen that one?
The one with Derek Jacobi in it?
Yeah.
No, I haven't.
Do you want to borrow?
Okay, I'll give it a go.
You'll love it. You'll be seeing that. You'll be one of those things, you put one episode, so I'll just do this only, and then you'll binge it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's one of those sort of shows.
Well.
Yeah, no, the one your dad was in was called The Romans.
The season. Yeah, you're right. Yeah.
And they had a really good cast of all sorts. That's another thing. You see, this afternoon after we finish here, it's going to be The Elephant Man for me, right? And I might have to just get the Romans out and see a Dad's episode.
Get a what?
The Romans.
Okay.
With all those
Okay.
lovely seasons.
Okay.
Because I love that piece of history.
What's your favourite film of all time?
The Italian Job.
Really?
Okay.
Why is that?
It's just wonderful.
Okay.
I've got many other favourite films, but the one I watched the most has to be The Italian Job. Not the remake, that was bollocks.
No, we don't talk about remakes. We
No,
talk
they're
about
awful,
originals. Yeah.
You know.
Yeah.
But no, The Italian Job. But Michael Caine from that. And Michael Caine to me is one of the most, I mean, he's knocking on a bit now, bless him, with a stick and all that. But just a brilliant, and what a cast in that film. I think they made it 1968, I think they made it.
Yeah.
The other, there's two other films who I absolutely would never tire of, three of them. To Serve with Love with Sidney Poitier.
Yeah, I've seen that.
With my chum Christian Roberts playing Devon, who's a right nasty. Good, still with us, aren't you, Christian? The other one is The Anniversary. Christian's in there with Bette Davis. It's a Hammer film.
I don't know that film.
I'll lend that one to you.
Okay.
You'll love it. It's black comedy. It's hilarious.
Okay.
Well done. And the other one is Up the Junction. Another social document of the era.
Okay.
And Dennis Waterman's in that with Kendall and Andrea Imposter, who's now Andrea Davis. And they've all become a bit like, chums, They all want to be on this show.
Okay.
But they live too
All right.
far away, don't they, dear?
Yeah.
Oh, well, I'll come and do your show. You'll have to come up to me. And they live like in Northumbria or somewhere daft like that.
What I wanted to bring up with you was comedy now and before.
Well, there's no comedy now.
So, because we were talking when we went for a cigarette, we were talking about Yes Minister and
That's
again,
sheer genius.
look at you on Facebook, you make comments about certain people, which I probably agree with, and it can come across as being, but it's very different. It's very different now. I mean, what kind of stuff do you like now?
Well, I did get in very much to a BBC. When I was a bus driver, I had a friend there called Loz. Lovely guy, we're friends on Facebook and always keep in touch, and all that. And I started to watch that series, I think it's in its forces, Ghosts.
Fantastic.
I wept myself.
Because we talked about it on Facebook, didn't we?
It is such
It's
good
very good
stuff.
and it's lovely.
Then-
Everybody can watch it. I mean,
It's so clever.
Me, my wife Ruth, and my stepson, we watch it. We
How old's your
watch-
stepson?
He is 13 now.
Well, an astute young man. What's his name?
Joel.
Joel. Enjoy, Joel. But what have you noticed? If you go to the BBC now, there is Ghosts US.
Yeah, I won't be bothering that one.
Well, I wasn't. I just happened. I thought, well, that's not the same people. I just happened to catch it on the transmission. And it's on iPlayer. And I said, well, I'll give one or two. It's a different show, but it's clever. It's Americanized, and they've changed a few things.
Yeah, maybe I'll give it a go, but I'm not going to rush
Just
to
try,
it.
yeah, but don't just try one episode, because I felt that. I thought, oh no, but things like that I adore.
Have you ever watched Inside Number 9?
I know Mark Gatiss. I Steve Pemberton and all that, and
Steve
who's got a new show coming out soon.
What's the black-haired one called?
Reese Shearsmith.
I think he's one of my favourite comedy actors ever.
Do you remember?
But that's
From...
Oh yeah. I'm sorry, yeah.
Oh, Luca!
He's just one of my favourite actors. I just think he's wonderful. He's just fantastic.
And
the other one tends to win the awards, but I think Reece Shearsmith is fantastic.
Oh yeah.
And when my father died, I put a thing on with Mark Gator saying, thank you for like putting me on one of my favourite programmes, the League of Gentlemen Christmas special.
Yeah.
And he went, oh, thank you, he was amazing. And that was just amazing for me to get a tweet back from him saying, oh, well, your dad was great.
I thought the League of Gentlemen was fantastic.
Yeah, I loved it. I mean, because I was asking that question about comedy because I like really edgy comedy and stuff.
And but they put other things, and I go, ooh, and I might do what I call about 5 minutes.
We're not going to talk about Mrs. Brown's Boys.
And it's a load of old crap. And I go, what's the point of doing that? But would you like to do comedy?
Comedy is my first love. I mean, I really like doing comedy and everything. Yeah, that's my first thing. Drama I find hard because it's a change of gears within the
dynamic of
the dynamic of it. Yeah. I find it harder to engage with, whereas for me, comedy is much more natural for me. I think. Yeah.
But you're a funny man. Shut up. I think intrinsically, you and I are actually, we've got a good sense of humour.
Yeah, yeah.
I have said, you're falling asleep over there, Dan. Shut up. I have done so many horror type arty-farty films, no offence, Tom. And I said, oh, darling. And on one film we were making, I can't remember what we were making, and he just said to me, have a look at this. It was a pencil script that his neighbour had written, right?
Really?
I went, all right. And I left it in my bag for months, didn't I? I said, I went, oh, fuck it. It was comedy. I went, ooh, no. Black comedy, but funny black comedy.
So I love black
with
comedy.
An edge to it.
I like black comedy.
And people being in that capability and character to actually, yes, on this occasion you can go over the top.
Yes.
Yeah. Not so far it is, cartoony, but you can push that, as an actor, push it a bit
Yes,
further.
you can. You can.
It's called Dr. Eisenhurst. I'll send you a link. We did the comedy. We had some really great actors in it, didn't we? It's, for me, I love it, because I've been trying to explain to Steve, and my director, who I adore, who's a chum as well, is, can we do more comedy? I don't mind if it's black comedy, the dark.
It's not easy though, comedy. I mean, it's the thing to go like, oh, just be. But it's hard. It's hard work because you have to. You have.
I find actually.
So that it doesn't sound naff.
Yeah, but I actually find a comedic value to even a piece of drama is funny. Where we've just done Casper House, there's a few bits in there where, although I'm playing this Baron Magister with horns on and all, I look gorgeous, by the way.
Of course you do.
You can either do something like that so over the top it's a cartoon, or you can then sublimate between the character and all that in certain areas. There's certain pieces in this film where the direction was in the script, and you just look at it and you go, all right, okay, how to say that line. Yeah. So that's the metering of a line to make it comedic rather than la 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 la. Slow down. Yeah. And put the points in and poise. And that's, to me, how to do good comedy is I suppose, basically timing. So, have you enjoyed your...
Mark, it's been fantastic. I'm very honoured to be invited to have a chat with you. I know I can have a chat with you in any way, but...
Yeah, what was interesting was, because I put this stuff on Facebook and all that da-dee-da, and I talked to you about doing Casper House and all that. Yeah. And I thought, I don't dare ask Casper if he would do a Mark and
Really?
Chums. But I did that thing, and you came straight back, and you said, but you've never asked me.
Well, yeah, exactly.
Of course I'll do one.
Yeah, of course I'll do one.
And now we've done it.
Thank you very much for asking me to be part of your amazing show. And thank you for being Don't look like that.
Amazing.
Don't look like that.
It's only amazing because Casper's in it.